Well, no, it makes every army more versatile
No,
if you're
I
if
agree.
you're
It's
slow,
Yeah, it's a versatility.
especially
it's a mobility game, right?
especially especially if you're playing Grey Knights or whatever, and you're only moving 6 to begin with. Now you're where you need to be.
Sweet. No, I totally legit see why that would be number 3.
Yeah.
I get it. So we're all done 3, correct?
Yep.
Yep.
So we'll go on to number 2. I'm gonna go first because I'm greedy. Invisibility. I know it's invisibility. So that is. Did you get number 2 for that?
Nope.
Did you get number 2 for that?
Nope.
So maybe we should chill. So I guess what's your number 2, Logan? We'll
My
talk
number
about that later.
2 is prescience. We already talked about it. I put it up really high because it's something that tons of different armies have access to, and the versatility on it is just incredible. A good example again from demon perspective: you toss prescience on a unit of screamers. Suddenly they're actually really damn scary with that strength 5 AP2 attack instead of maybe they'll kill 1 or 2. Suddenly they're killing like 4 or 5 models a turn, and definitely popping that vehicle, definitely screwing up.
Your number 2.
My number 2 is actually a little different. It's Force.
Okay.
Force Warp Charge 1 main. Well, I guess it's not really part of any specific lore, but Force is a blessing. Force is a blessing. Psychic power that targets the Psyker and his units. So not just one guy, but the entire unit. All the target's weapons that have the Force special rule gain the instant death special rule until the start of your next psychic phase. Why I hate it very, very much is because as a Necron player, any instant death gives me my -1 to reanimation.
Only -1.
Yeah, well...
I feel no pain is gone, bro.
Yeah,
it's gone.
It's basically useless. But I mean, it's taking out anything. It's taking out. It's something that you can give to an entire unit, and as long as one wound goes through, they're taking out your lord. They're taking out any character that you have. I find it incredibly useful.
Cool. So let's go to some honorable mentions before we go on to number 1.
Right.
So we might have spoiled it, but what's an honorable mention for you?
Actually, honorable mention for me, Demonology Malefic, its Possession.
Okay.
Very, very scary. In its possession is a well, basically you raise up Lord of Change, Great and Clean One, Bloodthirster, or Keeper of Secrets.
And now the new
Warp
Demon
Charge
book,
3.
all those super Bloodthirsters replace the Bloodthirster,
Bloodthirster.
entry. So that must count for that.
No,
Why-
it doesn't.
But that's a new thing. That book just came
yeah.
out.
No, it still doesn't. It specifically says Bloodthirster, and the new Demon book does not remove the Bloodthirster at all in any form. It's still
it says it replaces
it.
No, it
does not
does.
replace it. It supplements the Demon's book. Unless
I
it
thought we
literally
had this
says the
discussion
Bloodthirster
before.
is no longer a model, everything in the old book is still completely valid. The Bloodthirster is still there, and unless the
I wanna
Psychic Power
prove
has a
you're
new
wrong.
word, it
Yeah.
doesn't change it.
Okay, we'll look it
This
up.
is-
We'll look it up.
This was the discussion from
We'll look
this
it up
morning.
later. We'll look it
literally.
up later. Because it does say that the Bloodthirster entry gets replaced.
But why I have it as an honorable mention is it only really is for Chaos players. But for me, it's very, very scary for you to take a small little Herald or something and all of a sudden pop up a Greater Demon. Warp Charge 3, yeah, it's going to be difficult, but all of a sudden you could have 2 to 3 Greater Demons running around on the board, and I just can't deal with that. I can barely deal with one.
Yeah, it's a nasty way to get a Lord of Change for sure.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so while Chris is looking things up, my first honorable mention was Life Leech from Biomancy. So it's 2 shots, strength 6, AP2. The reason it made my list is not that it's necessarily very powerful, but more so that I think anyway it's the only way in the entire game to regain wounds on a model, other than Soul Stealer, which is one of the demon artifacts. Only ranged way of getting wounds back, I suppose, or only thing that multiple armies have access to. So that's pretty cool. Basically, if it wounds, you can give a wound back to a friendly model within 6 inches of the guy who cast it. So, pretty cool way. Like if you, for my Chaos Space Marines, for example, I run a Sorcerer and a Lord and a whole unit of Spawn. I can heal my characters back. Like if my Sorcerer perils, suddenly I can get my wounds back on that, or I can heal a Spawn up, that kind of thing.
So that'll go on to me then. My honorable mention. I had a whole bunch. I made like 12 spells. That's why I was going. I'm like, it was so hard to choose. But you guys covered most of them. So the honorable mention that I feel is appropriate is Eldritch Storm, because it's awesome. You're doing a Strength 3, AP 3. I'm going to do the Apocalypse one.
Oh, yeah. Always go for it.
4 warp charge, which is ridiculous, and you just murder half a guy's army. It's awesome.
Yeah, drop your invul save, lower it to 3 warp charges, and re-rolling.
No, and then you
anything.
get the 15-point item that drops it again, and then you get to re-roll all your dice.
Ooh, and then you take the Farseer formation, so you're generating warp charges on 3. It's not that difficult to get.
Yeah, there are some fun ways to get it.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. Does a lot of damage. So I had just looked it up. Forces the Chaos Demons, the Bloodthirster of Unfettered Fury, Bloodthirsters of Intense Rage, Wrath of Khorne Bloodthirster, data sheets replace the Bloodthirster army list entry found in Codex Chaos Demons.
All right, so there's no way to summon them.
Well, I think you're being a bit obtuse there. I think you can. I think you can.
Well, no, because if you read the demonology spell for possession, it explicitly says may summon a Bloodthirster, not a Bloodthirster of Insensate Blah or Unfettered Blah.
You're probably right.
It's not the same model.
Email us, canhammer.podcast@gmail.com, and please flame Logan.
Well, this was the discussion that we were having earlier.
I think Logan's legitimately probably right, but I just wanted to point out that the Bloodthirster does not exist.
That's fair. That's a good catch. I missed that part for sure. Until that gets FAQ'd though, I don't think there's any way, but with the rules as they're written, to actually summon one of those Bloodthirsters that are
good.
Well, it also does
the Thirster's scary as hell.
Yeah.
It also does say rules for this units can be found in the Codex Chaos Demons. So it doesn't say.
Okay, you're fishing. You're fishing.
I'm going.
So number 1, psychic powers. So Logan and Josh simultaneously. I have a feeling it's the same. It might not be.
Maybe.
But just say it simultaneously on 3, 2, 1.
Invisibility.
Oh. Obviously, you guys all know it wasn't me. So why is that good, guys?
Josh, go for it.
All right. Well, invisibility. Well, let me see what it is first. It's from telepathy. Warp charge 2. And this is right from the actual rules. Invisibility is a blessing that targets a single friendly unit within 24 inches. Whilst the power is in effect, enemy units can only fire snapshots at the target unit, and in close combat will only hit the models on a 2-hit roll of 6. And why I say, just the wording is, this is the only power I think that ITC has outright changed wording on. They haven't adjusted it or anything. They've downright changed it, because that is so powerful for Warp Charge 2. Now you can't hit anything with any template weapons, blast weapons, whatever, and now your weapon skill 8 Demon Prince is hitting on 6s.
Yeah. So my counter argument, why I was second before Logan speaks, which we'll give him time in a minute, I just thought that it kind of makes Death Stars really awesome, and Death Stars aren't what win tournaments nowadays. So although it's amazing, it's not winning. Like it won't really. It'll help you keep one thing alive, which might help you win, but I don't know. I just feel like with the MSU age that we're in right now, that's why I put it as number 2. So Logan, why do you love it?
So I love it for all the reasons you said, and because Death Star is still really on a turn. It's like you see guys like Aaron A. Long, a Death Star. You see.
What Death Star did you win with? That's the guy from. Isn't he the War Spider guy?
No. He runs the Space Wolf Ravenwing Death Star.
Well, that's good though. That's a good Death Star.
Anyway, but you also see Pajama Pants, right? The invisibility is the only reason that the Bloodthirster is a usable model. If he doesn't get invis, that thing just dies. So,
And you're talking about all ITC events, right?
yeah, and I'm talking.
hitting-
Well, not necessarily for Aaron. It was Nova.
I wasn't recording.
Well, we can go back and do it again, or you can pull the audio from the live stream.
We'll pull the audio from the live stream.
Anyway, it's not just Death Stars as benefits though. It's any big unit, right? Like a good example is a Wraith Knight, right? If your Wraith Knight is invisible and it's running around, it's terrifying, right? It's already really, really hard to shoot at and do damage to unless you have Grav. And even if you do, suddenly if you're hitting it on 6s, it's brutal. Rules is written with the snapshot version, it shuts down a ton of Tau stuff as well. Suddenly ion accelerators can't be used. Like the overcharge, Nova charge can't be used. The Storm Surge Pulse Driver Cannon can't be used against it. The Flamer from the Ivara can't be used against it. It really restricts people's options. And the other great thing you mentioned was in close combat. Hitting on sixes is really tough to deal with.
Do you want to?
And you
Do
can
you
put
want
it on
to?
vehicles and stuff too, right? So if you're playing a guard blob, you've got a Storm Lord and it's full of las cannons or something. You're only hitting that vehicle on sixes now.
Do you want to mention how ITC has changed it?
Sure. So ITC did change this to in their decision to make it a bit more fair, which I agree with in this case. But
Oh yeah.
they've changed it so instead of snap firing, you're shooting a ballistic skill 1, and in close combat, this is the one I don't like. Close combat, you hit on 5s always instead of 6s, which really sucks for demons. Like suddenly there's no real reason to have an invisible demon prince, right?
Yeah.
You're hitting them on what you hit them on anyway. But it does make it a bit more bearable for most other armies. But yeah, so they've toned it down a bit, and I think that really helps. Because otherwise, for Warp Charge 2, it's really rough. And a lot of the armies that have access to this and use it extensively have huge amounts of Warp Charge they can access anyway.
Actually,
Stuff.
sorry. I think I used it on you or something when I was playing Eldar versus your Tau, and it changes from not being able to fire that Nova Blast to I'll just use a couple marker lights and put my ballistic scope back up to square.
Yeah, so it's definitely heavily in favor of Tau for that. Anyway, that's a different discussion, I think. But yeah, so it has been changed. ITC, as far as I know, is the only group that does change it. ETC definitely doesn't, and most other places will play. This is written.
Sweet. So, anybody want to hear mine?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this one, in my opinion, when used it's a rare. It's not as popular as you'd think, but when used correctly, will definitely win you more games than any other power out there. Maybe there's something to be said for invisibility, and that's Demonology Malefic Summoning. What this power allows you to do. Oh, is that an Imperial Knight? I'm going to summon a unit. As Logan said, there's many ways so my unit does not scatter. My unit runs. Now your knight can just shoot and charge that. None of my squishy good stuff. It allows me to drop my princes down to prepare for my next turn and speed bump you. It allows me to drop units on objectives late game. When it's too late for you to shoot them, you're out of position. It allows, and I know it's demon players, Space Marine players can do it too. I know this sounds kind of freaky, but Librarius Conclave with this is actually not bad. Because they manifest on a 2+, so you only throw 4 dice at these spells, and the chances of getting a double are very low.
Yeah,
They're still high, but
yeah, they're lower. Yeah,
lower, like significantly lower. Eldar can't take it anymore, which is for the best. If Eldar could take it, every Eldar army would have that period, no matter what.
Yeah.
That's how good that spell is. It's the ability to say, shit, this is ITC, I need to get 1 unit in your deployment zone. Okay, F off, I get a point. Like, it's absolutely, I don't know, it's absolutely fantastic.
I actually had that, but I took these, whatever it was, the sacrifice instead.
I don't like sacrifice because you have to kill something.
yeah.
That's why I don't like
sacrifice. You
not
don't.
sacrifice.
Possession, you do. Sacrifice, you put a wound on something within 6 inches.
Oh, okay.
Right.
But even still, like your demon princes, you don't want to be putting wounds on them later in game. Actually, you do for a D-Thirster, but you can't take a D-Thirster, so it's crazy. But I just think that I just like I've seen. Yeah, the average person will throw this unit down, it'll die, or whatever. But I've seen the good players abuse the hell out of this power, and it blows your mind. And you watch it, and you're like, wow. He literally just set that guy up to die. Like, 2 units come in or 1 unit, and he has you now. Like, he just won the tournament because of that. And that's why I respect that power.
Yeah, sorry, it's possession. I was very close to thinking summoning, but I chose possession. I can deal with some bloodthirsters that pop up. I can deal with some screamers. Great unclean one's a little harder.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I think it's good. So that's our list. Hopefully you guys at home had lists of your own. Hopefully you disagreed with some of our choices. Hopefully you agreed with others. I know mine were a little bit different, but that's because it's just the way I play, right? I'm an MSU player, so invisibility just doesn't help me like it helps some of these other guys. So that's that. So we're gonna move on. Next in the podcast is we have some Tau stuff that came in. This started off as a discussion, and I basically wanted to kind of get Logan's opinion on it. It's not really a pimp my list. It's more of a so we had a listener go in and he said, "Okay, I use the buff commander, but I don't like him. So I want to switch him up, and I want to do Dark Strider. And in order to do Dark Strider, um, what would be the best options to go along with him?" And I thought that this would be an excellent question for Logan. So Leon's asking Logan, what would you take with Dark Strider? What makes him good? What does he do? To start off with.
So Dark Strider has two abilities. Basically, he's a fire warrior, multi-wound, pretty awesome fire warrior. His two special abilities are what makes him though. So first off is for his unit after firing Overwatch, they can do a consolidation move. So you can theoretically get up to 6 inches away from the thing you're firing Overwatch against, or you can move in front of the thing that you're doing supporting fire for, so suddenly it can't charge the unit it was trying to charge. You can do all sorts of fun stuff with that. Mm-hmm. So pretty cool. Now his other ability is what really makes him though. So it's called Structural Analyzer. When Dark Strider targets a non-vehicle enemy unit with a shooting attack, that unit suffers -1 toughness against hits from that shooting attack. This applies to Dark Strider's entire unit's shooting attack. And it also modifies their toughness for purposes of instant death. Now, before anybody gets too freaked out, it does clarify that Dark Strider can only join units of Breachers, Strike Teams, or Pathfinders. So, my first question to Leon, who is probably not in the chat, but something to consider.
He does listen, so he will hear this.
Okay. Do you play Tau using Coordinated Firepower as sharing buffs? Because if you do, Dark Strider is the single biggest force multiplier in the entire game. Because
what do you mean by that? Like, I know you use some big words, and I know what you mean, but I'm just trying to, like, so somebody that may not know what you're talking about.
The Coordinated Firepower rule has a ton of contention. If you go up to any group of 40k players and ask them how it works, they're all going to tell you something different. It's not written, well, in everyone's opinion, it's written very clearly, and in everyone's opinion, it means something completely different. Yeah. Basically, the way it's written is, and this is just going from memory, is basically you can choose multiple units to fire together, and they resolve their shots as if they were a single unit. So a lot of people take that to mean that, if you have a buff that buffs your unit, like you have a buff commander that gives everything in the unit twin-linked, because they're resolving their shots as if they were a single unit, they all get twin-linked, that kind of stuff. So I know some groups, especially over in Europe, play it like that, and a lot of North American groups, ITC in particular, do not play it that way. So it really depends, because suddenly, Dark Strider, if you've got that, and you're firing strength 10 shots at something, it's instant deathing toughness 6 units, which is incredible. So, or if it's toughness 5, if you're shooting at toughness 5, your strength 8 stuff is instant deathing them. So he's outstanding in that respect. Now, if you do not play it in that sort of scenario, there is a way that he can still work very well, which is with Devilfish and a big unit of Fire Warriors or Breachers.
So that was his main question, was what would you take with him in a Devilfish?
So if you're putting him in a Devilfish, you're now playing with a Coordinated Firepower kind of setup. My suggestion would be to get a max unit of Breachers, so the guys with the Strength 6 AP3 guns, short range. Put Dark Strider in with them, and put them in a Devilfish with the, I think they're Dispersion Pods, the +1 cover save thing on it.
Yeah, that Devilfish should come with those.
Just run straight up, jink the whole way, probably take the move through cover thing on it as well, so there's no chance of getting immobilized. And put an Ethereal in there as well. They're popping out. You've got, I think, 3 shots each at that point. Either way, you've got an extra shot for each of the Breachers, and they're just mowing stuff down with Strength 6 AP3, and that's instant deathing toughness 4 models because of Dark Strider's ability.
Yeah, that's pretty nifty. Like, you could pop that one not Death Star unit, but, decent Marine unit.
Yeah. It's really, really strong. And even if you take them with just normal Fire Warriors, right, they're still Strength 5 shots, so they're going to be wounding almost everything on 2s, or 3s against even the beefier stuff. So really, really strong, really helps against, really any toughness 5 stuff. It's a huge boon against, because you can wound it on a much lower value. Now, in the list that Leon sent in here, he's got two strike teams that he's got in Devilfish, and I think this is the best way to run it. If you're going to take a Devilfish, take two, and definitely put an Ethereal in there because all his stuff is bubble, right? So you get if you take like Ondo for example, he gives 1 unit Fearless, and he gives everything in 12 inches leadership 10, which is awesome, and then you get the extra shot from the pulse weapons, which is also really really good. So toss all that together, you're getting double shots at short range. You're ripping through stuff with strength 6 AP3, and you've got two devilfish that are flying up the board sideways, so nothing can ever hit their rear armor because they're ass to ass going up there. And you've got armor 12 on the front. I think it's 11 on the sides, or 12. Yeah, I think it's 12, 11, 10. It's jinking with a 3+.
Yeah.
It's just it's tough to crack. And so you go up, you flat out first turn. Second turn, you move, you get out your 6 inches, and you just destroy 2 units.
Yeah. One thing that in his list that I questioned is I was like, man, how those hammerheads treat you? Because he takes 3.
Yeah.
Now I understand why 3 is in the world of strength 6, toughness armor value 13 tanks is not terrible. You know what I mean? Like you've just nullified half the Eldar army. He says, he didn't sell me on it. He was like, I like them. They can kill some hordes with the big templates. Some games they do nothing. So he kind of, even though he put 3 hammerheads, I think he knows that they're not optimal, but he likes them. And I think it goes with the mech theme really well. But I'd be inclined to just like take the turret off and use them as devilfish with more stuff in them.
Yeah, so to quickly go through the list that was sent in here, he's got Darkstrider, he's got a Ion Tide with Stim Injector, SMS, and Early Warning. He's got 2 12-man strike teams in Devilfish with disruption pods, and he took the tactical support turrets with both of them. He's got a unit of...
What do those do again? I read it, but I can't
basically
remember.
a smart missile turret that plops down and it just sits wherever you put it.
Cool. That's pretty.
He's got, looks like 2 units or 2 crisis battle suits. Up to 72 points. I'm guessing it's 2 of them with twinling missile pods. There's an AX3 Razor Shark Strike Fighter. Yeah, so there's easy points to get your ethereal by getting rid of that. Then there's the Armored Interdiction Cadre formation, which is what has the hammerheads and the Skyray. And that thing's formation is you pick a point on the board and you get twin linked against everything within 6 inches of it, which is pretty cool.
Well, it's cool when you have the strength 10 was an AP1 shot, though, right? Like, so,
right.
Yep.
So you can be like, oh, is that a Wraith Knight? Well, I might do 3 wounds to you now.
Yeah, exactly.
Or 2.
And
it's decent, right?
You've got the Skyray in there, so you've got a whole bunch of strength 8 AP3 that's shooting out of that. And you've got long strikes, so you have Tank Hunter with it as well. So you can just destroy vehicle squadrons pretty easily with it. And then he's got the drone net with 16 marker drones, which is
awesome.
Yeah,
that's
great
cool.
way to run it. I mean,
I actually like it. I like his list a lot. I'm like, there's a few little things
list,
that I tweak, but it's really cool.
Yeah, it's a fun list. I mean, as far as tweaks, without digging super far into it, there's just some easy ways to clean up points and optimize things a little bit. First thing I'd say is drop the Razor Shark. It's a cool model. I get it. If I owned one, I'd want to find a way to work with it too, so I can't blame you at all, but it's terrible. It's the gun is not good, and it's not a durable model. For those 153 points, you get rid of it. You take Ondo for 75 points. That's the Ethereal from Burning Dawn that gives Fearless, basically. Or you just take a normal Ethereal, either one, for the Leadership 10 bubble. Toss him in with the other unit of Fire Warriors. You've got 75 or 100 points left to play with. Drop the support turrets from the Fire Warriors, because I mean those units they're popping out, they're killing something, and then if they're still alive, they're getting back in those devilfish and running away. Get rid of those, put SMS on the devilfish if you want to, or worst case, put them on the hammerheads just to give them another option, because SMS is never a bad thing to have.
Now, what do you think of this? Taking one Fire Warrior unit, splitting it into 2, and taking those extra points and adding a devilfish. So now you have 2 OBSEC devilfishes with 2 units in their OBSEC, and then you have your 10-man unit, which I think you have to drop to 11 with Darkstrider and an Ethereal in it. What do you think of that, Logan?
Yes, just make sure if you're using Darkstrider, put him in the unit that's as big as it possibly can.
Of course, you'd have the one big Darkstrider unit, and then you have the 2 other ones for objective claiming.
Yeah, and that would actually work as well. If you get rid of the Razor Shark, you've got the points left there to take the extra Devilfish. So I think that would be good. MSU is never bad, especially for durable units. The Armored Interdiction Cadre, it's not bad by any means. Problem with it, it's good. I'd say just tweak things. Probably swap out the ion thing. Where's the ion cannon you found on Long Strike? Give him the rail rifle again. The ion cannon is not bad, but it sort of fits the same problem as that a lot of armies have with plasma. Whereas if you've got plasma or melta, a lot of times you're better off taking melta because plasma is good, but melta is better at doing the job of killing high armor, low armor save kind of stuff. So I think there can be some optimization there. You take the submunition rounds, and you've still got your blast if you want. And the ion turret, if I remember correctly, is only AP4 for its blast version anyway. It's not all that great. So, it's small tweaks overall. The list is a really solid starting point. I mean, this would be a ton of fun to play. So
Yeah, and it's Armor 13. Counter Eldar, counter meta. You never shut down the meta, right?
Yeah.
So that's it for the Pit My List. Leon, I hope, thanks for sending it in. And we had a lot of tweets back and forth, so I hope we answered your question appropriately. Let me know if you have any more. So we're going to move on to our questions that were pre-sent in, and then we'll get the chat questions. So get ready in the chat with some crazy questions. So the first two are directed directly at me. I've been playing some weird armies lately in battle reports. First one is, in your Deathwing, Chris, why did you take 2 assassins instead of the Inquisitor with the skulls? It would have given me more board play and less scatter. My counter to that was we were playing ITC. I only had 3 detachments, so I took the Deathwing force with like a ton of Terminators. And then I took the 2 assassins for redundancy, so I didn't get tabled turn 1. Because I was worried that 1 collects as assassin could die, but 2 couldn't, so it would guarantee me that. And then I found with the skulls, my big unit of Deathwing don't scatter anyway. And the other units I don't really care because I have 24-inch range, so I usually put them pretty safe. So I just didn't feel it was necessary. And if a guy's scouting, I'm just going to deep strike away from him anyway. So I felt like that the guarantee of not getting tabled round 1 was worth the double Colexis Assassins in that case. Second question for me was, why was your sister list in Rhinos and not Drop Pods? Because, again, the tournament that was for was a single CAD, no allies, so I was unable to. But my list would have been much better in Drop Pods, because what I had is I had 3 of the Dominion squads with 4 or 5 Meltaguns in each, and they ignore cover if I pass a Leadership 9, which is pretty good odds. So yeah, you drop pod them in, you do more damage. But of course, it's very rare to have a CAD no allies tournament, and that happened. So that's what it was. That's why I only own 5 drop pods and they're plastic. So that and then we have one more pre-sent in question that goes to all 3 of us. It's a bit ridiculous, but I do like it. So I am going to read it. If you could be any superhero, but knew the fans would call for a gender swap, so who would you be? So pick a superhero that you would want to be, but you would have to be a woman because we're all men, right?
Did Kieran send this in? Is this part of his fanfic he's
Nope,
writing?
this was Johnny Crass from California.
All right. Thanks for the question, Johnny.
Thing.
So I put a lot of thought into this when I was at
Me
work
too,
this
actually.
afternoon.
Actually, yeah, same
We all
as me,
did, yeah.
So now I gotta check the name of because it's totally slipped my mind. So I'll let one of you guys go first.
Josh, go first while he looks it up with his loud
sure?
keys.
Okay, no, I've got.
Fine, I'll go first.
Okay,
I'll go
okay.
first.
Mine's pretty good.
Okay. Who wants to go? You're gonna go then?
No, Chris, go ahead.
Everybody's kind of
Okay.
embarrassed because they're like, I want to be a woman.
I got it here. So
Okay.
I gotta go with my namesake here. Considering there's gonna be some gender bending, I'm gonna be X-23.
Who's that for all those of us that aren't into comic books?
So I'm not into comic books at all. All I know is that X-23 is basically female Wolverine. I think it's his daughter, something like that. So basically, by gender bending X-23, I become Wolverine, Logan, myself. So I'm pretty okay with that.
You broke it.
It was a toss up between that or Deadpool, but I didn't want to pander on the Deadpool side because Deadpool is just awesome no matter what.
Stop talking right now. Okay, go.
All right, mine. Again, the question didn't say I had to choose a male superhero.
Yeah, exactly.
So I did something very similar. I chose Ms. Marvel with the super strength. And to gender bend, I would actually change into Captain Marvel. So Ms. Marvel, Marvel Comics, Captain Marvel DC. So I'm not, no plagiarism or anything like that. Keep the same powers. And for anybody who doesn't read the comics, Captain Marvel is now Shazam.
What does he do? Is he like a
Shazam.
basketball player?
Another excellent reference.
He's a genie,
We're all
yeah.
Shaq Steele fans here.
Yeah.
Shazam is Captain Marvel. He's a kid, calls on the powers of Shazam, who is the wizard. Lightning bolt comes down, strikes him. He becomes basically Superman. Yeah,
So I picked Deadpool. Logan almost spoiled it because I went, okay, you know what this world needs? Needs a woman that's vulgar, wears tight leather pants, has camera angles at crotch and butt area for long periods of time, is super hilarious, really strong, just like hilarious. And I thought that would be great. I'd want to be a gender bent Deadpool.
You can never
funny.
go wrong with that.
It's funny
Like-
that Logan and I chose to go back to men.
I was like, you know what? And like, I kind of have a man crush on Ryan Reynolds, so I'd
Who
be like a
doesn't?
female Ryan Reynolds, right?
Who
Like
doesn't?
he's Canadian, he's got a 8-pack. I don't even know, man. That guy must do a million crunches. But yeah, I would be a female Deadpool. So thanks for the question. We're gonna go to the chat now.
That's awesome.
So, any chat questions in there?
Yeah, so the first one we got is about our top 5 powers. No Tyranid powers.
Is that from Caleb?
It's not. It's actually from Jamie.
Yeah.
So let's turn this one into a quick discussion. If you had to pick one of the Tyranid powers to be on your list, maybe as an honorable mention, which would it be?
Psychic Scream.
Yeah, Psychic Scream. Jamie, you know that.
Because it's better than Psychic Screech, actually.
Psych-
It's a bubble, so it hurts invisible units.
Yeah, I have to go with Psychic Stream as well. It's really good. There's actually a couple really good mid powers, but Psychic Stream just takes the cake, especially when you stack it with Shadows of the Warp.
Is it -2 to Psychers as well?
Shadows of the Warp is -3 to Psychers, and then
Yeah, I thought.
then you get the Psychic Stream on top of that. So even Leadership 10 stuff is getting red.
Yeah. That's it.
Awesome. Any more?
Next question we've got here is, how do you guys transport your armies?
Who's that
Ooh.
from? You gotta
That
read their
is
name.
from Darby.
Give him credit. Hey, Darby, how's it going? Hope Walt Disney World was good for you and your family.
So Chris, how do you transport your stuff?
I use so I'm an electronics engineering technologist, and through work I was able to get cardboard boxes where circuit boards are shipped with big foam trays. So I put my big models in that. It's basically like the eggplant foam, and I'll lay my bikes out on that. I also use primarily GW cases because back in the day when I started, they were the only option, and I mail ordered like 7 or 8 extra inserts. So I have basically enough inserts to fill like 9 cases, but I used to own 5 cases and I sold one to Green, so I think I'm down to 4 now. And I also own one of the double GW cases, which was too big for the 3 stack of foam. So you could literally put your books and put bigger models in it. And as a fanboy, that's how my Flames of War Army is in a battle foam case, which is excellent. But that's how I do it. And when I fly, I take cardboard boxes and I custom cut eggplant foam for it. I don't go with the battle foam because I play too many big models and I rapidly change armies so fast that I'd go like foam pour, and I can't store that foam. I don't have enough space. I do have enough space, but I'm not going to store that foam.
So what about you, Josh?
I'm actually the exact opposite. When I first started years ago, I took those little yellow toolboxes and just hot glued in foam to make my own little case. So it was basically the mystery box is what I ran with for years, up until Jamie actually introduced me to battle foam. And I do use the 2 cases, the XL 1520 and a 720 stacked on top. And I do buy the custom cut pieces. I find they're way better than the pluck foam, because pluck foam, you might get the wrong size, you might not be 100% as to where you're pulling out, and unlike Chris, I can store everything into a small little closet in the office.
Because you play Necrons.
Because
so you don't have to put this.
Well,
this is a whole battle foam case.
I mean, I'm working on 4 Ghost Arcs, but they never really, I might use that at one tournament just for just for you, buddy, if you're listening.
So actually, I shipped this guy to Chicago in a box, and I broke his wings and arms off and glued them on in the hotel.
Yeah, see, the other thing is that I don't fly. Well, I mean, I do for work, but I don't fly for tournaments or anything.
Yet. You will.
Any of my driving or anything, they're so easy to just pull out the foam out of the closet. It's got everything I already want in it. Throw it into the case itself that's pre-made for the foam. Put it in the car, easy. and I'm wherever I need to be. Whereas before, I was pulling out stuff out of boxes, things were constantly being broken. I'd always have to bring glue with me, so now it's the exact opposite.
And what do you do, Logan?
So I'll show you.
He's been waiting. He's been waiting for us to ask him.
This army has my entire. This case has my entire Tau army in it.
Is that the new GW
And
one?
that's like 3,000 points of Tau, too, right?
This is about $1,100 worth of Tau that I'm just manhandling, and A-OK. This is the new GW Crusade case. I love this thing. So I have 4 different armies. Battle Foam would literally cost as much as my mortgage to get for all my armies. It's not something I want to spend my money on when I can use that and fit all of my armies into it. The only thing I have that doesn't fit in there is my Brass Scorpion. But otherwise, everything goes into it. It does everything I need. It's a killer deal. It was like $130 or something, retail.
Yeah, it's a steal. That case is awesome. I almost bought one.
I highly recommend it.
Could you do a test for us and throw it across the room?
I've dropped it down a flight of stairs before, and nothing
It's
broke.
good. It's good. It's good. The one awesome thing is it's an expensive feature, but for $130 because it's a plastic clip, so you can get the backpack that it slides into.
Does that fit in the
Fit
backpack?
some books. Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one that fits in the backpack.
Okay.
It's expensive, but it's a fantastic option.
Yeah, it's really cool. And the shoulder strap is great. The clasps are way better than the old GW cases were. As I said, like I've dropped this thing downstairs and it's totally undamaged. It's fantastic. It's a great investment if you're looking for something. The other thing that was brought up in chat is tableware cases. And if you've got an army with that you can do really heavy duty magnets on the bases, the tableware cases are fantastic. They're
Magnets let go eventually. That's what should
like
enough force and the magnets let go, and then you're screwed. Because I used to magnetize everything in fantasy.
If you're using those, they're really good. If you're taking it as carry-on, I would never ever check baggage with a tableware case though. Your shit's gonna get destroyed.
I've looked at KR Multicase, and they have the cardboard storage boxes that then fit into bags.
Yep.
For the price, it looked decent. I'm not sure what it is to get shipped here. But they look nice.
Yeah.
They're like the old GW style, but with like, I think a little bit cheaper.
If you're looking for KR multicase stuff in Canada, you don't have too many options. Battle Foam does very similar stuff though for a lower price actually. They also do cardboard carrying cases, and they also do a soft shell bag. I think it's the Spear bag.
Yeah, and it fits GW in it too. I think
it fits GW foam in it. Not this kind, but the old cases fits those. And the other thing that's great about it is it's actually pretty cheap. So if you want to get one of the Spear bags, I think it's about the same size as the 432, the Battle Foam 432. It's about $120 US. So it's a good deal.
You want to buy your Battle Foam probably through Meeple Mart. I think they're the cheapest place in Canada to get Battle Foam that I've seen. And I think you can call in, he'll order it in. The other option is you wait for the American Thanksgiving, which is the end of November, and Battle Foam has a 2-day or 1 week 50% off or like a really high sale.
Well, they just had one, not of everything.
But their Thanksgiving sale is their big one.
It is the big one.
Yeah.
For Battle Foam, I just order it from a local game store, and I don't get it 2 days from now. I'll get it like 2 weeks from now. But he orders it with 5 or 6 other people, so I don't pay for shipping.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah, shipping is the killer when you're buying it.
It is the worst.
Yeah, if you can ship it to the U.S. and then go pick it up and like smuggle it in, like bring your army with you and then like put them in the case so it looks used. I mean, don't do that at all.
Yeah.
No, that's a bad idea. I'm just kidding.
I've put off for a little bit right now with the Canadian dollar where it is. So
yeah, the Canadian dollar
is
so bad right now. You need to order it locally.
Yeah, I do need 2 or 3 items, but I'll be holding off for a little while.
And your tax dollars go to the government, which is good.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker. Okay, so let's move on. Next question.
That's everything we've got there.
So that sounds wonderful. That's a good show. I think we entered lots and got a lot accomplished. Considering we did a show last week and this is 2 back-to-back.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So I want to say thanks for you coming down here, Josh. That was awesome. We had a fun game and a good podcast.
We did our game extremely fast.
You're so shocked about that, right?
No, not really. Well,
you are
no,
shocked.
not.
That's the 3rd time.
Yeah. It's very rare that I get to play against somebody who's extremely fast. And on the second, the second thing is too, most of the time I'm playing anybody just for fun. We're doing the chit chat. We're having a couple of drinks. We're not firing it through just to get a result.
Well, we were filming a battle report for the YouTube channel that we're going to do a voiceover. We did have this podcast to get to, and 5 o'clock till 8. You don't have a lot of time, right? So cool. So that's it. Thanks for listening. If you want to give feedback, canhammer.podcast@gmail.com. Our website is oneplusarmor.com. And I guess with that, Frontline Gaming goes live in 15 minutes, so check out their battle. Hopefully, Reese doesn't get so salty and plays Orcs again. Hopefully he plays something competitive.
He's not playing tonight. It's Frankie with his double Storm Surge list against Pablo playing the Infernal Tetrad plus Fate Weaver and 2 units of Horrors.
So if you want to see American Logan play American Nick, tune in to Frontline Gaming. And so with that, thanks guys. Have a good evening. Bye.
Good night.
Bye.